ex-Chelsea manager, attracted by Rangers' job as pressure builds on Philippe Clement. Narciso Casanwejo reveals what James Tavernier told him before Rangers versus St. Mirren. Philippe Clement, one defeat away from Rangers' sack. Rangers squad man red flag after Philippe Clement told to get winner into team. Rangers Rolls-Royce could have been their Van Dijk sale. To get daily Rangers news at your fingertips, just hit the notification bell. Let's get into the news. We are the people. So, Clement's telling us to hang tight, eh? A couple of wins have kept the Wolves at bay for now, but you can feel the tension bubbling under the surface. The guy's got a point. Rebuilding a squad, slashing wages, and bringing in youth isn't exactly done overnight. Still, patience is a luxury not often afforded at Rangers, especially when the football's been as inspiring as a cold pie at half-time. And that 1-0 slip-up against Kilmarnock? That's still fresh in the mind, isn't it? But here's the twist. Paul Robinson's out here stirring the pot, saying Graham Potter's keen as mustard to swoop in if Clement falters. Potter's stock took a knock after Chelsea, but let's be honest, he did wonders at Brighton. Now Robinson reckons he knows for a fact that Potter would grab the Rangers gig with both hands if it came open again. A big club, massive fan base, world-renowned. It's all there. Who wouldn't be tempted, right? Still, Clement's digging his heels in, insisting he's not going anywhere. He's signed the contract, made it clear that he's here for the long haul, and says rebuilding takes time, but in football, especially at Rangers, talk only buys you so much grace. Now here's the thing, mate. If Potter's really that eager to step in, would you stick with Clement and his promises of long-term progress? Or is it time to roll the dice with a manager who's already shown he can work magic elsewhere? So, young Casanwejo steps in, and who's there giving him a wee pep talk? None other than Captain Tav himself. Proper father of the team moment, wasn't it? Telling the lad to just enjoy himself and not overthink the fact he's stepping into some very big boots. Tavernier's leadership, even when he's not on the pitch, shows exactly why he's still got that armband glued to his arm. Now, let's be fair, Casanwejo didn't disgrace himself against St. Mirren, completed a fair whack of his passes, and even managed a few decent ones into the final third. But you could tell the chemistry wasn't quite there, especially compared to the well-oiled connection Tav's got with Cerny. Then Clement shuffled him to centre-back for a bit, and it looked a bit dodgy. Nearly gave away a pen, didn't he? Still, he grafted, won most of his duels on the ground, and even recovered the ball 7 times. So credit where it's due. Now here's the big question ahead of Aberdeen. Do you give Casanwejo another shot? Or is it straight back to business with Tav at right back? Or, brace yourself for this one, would you actually back Casanwejo to play at centre-back? Moving Proper out? Could be a bold call, but Pittodrie's no place for playing it safe. What do you reckon? Stick with the captain? Or let the loanee get a proper run and see if he's got what it takes? Clement's skating on the thinnest ice imaginable, mate. Mick Brown, who used to be Alex Ferguson's right-hand man, reckons the Belgian gaffer is one defeat away from the sack. Just one slip and boom, the board could be pulling the trigger. And let's not sugarcoat it. Scraping wins like the 2-1 slog against St. Mirren isn't enough for Rangers. Fans expect dominant, convincing performances, not matches where we look like we're hanging on for dear life against teams we should be breezing past. Now here's the grim reality, sitting 3rd in the league, 6 points off both Aberdeen and Celtic, and we're still in October. That's bad enough. But Aberdeen sitting level with Celtic at the top, that's like a kick in the teeth followed by a Glasgow rainstorm on your walk home. If Clement loses to Aberdeen at Pittodrie tomorrow, Keith Wines, who knows a thing or two about Aberdeen's boardroom politics, reckons Clement's job becomes untenable. In other words, he's out the door. And even if Clement scrapes more wins, Mick Brown's message is loud and clear. At a club like Rangers, just winning won't cut it. It's got to be convincing, stylish, title-challenging football. This club doesn't do a second best. And being stuck behind Aberdeen, that's downright embarrassing. Rangers are supposed to be on top, not playing catch-up. Every defeat feels like another nail in the coffin because the teams above us aren't slipping up. The gap isn't just on the table, it's growing with every frustrating performance. Brown also makes it clear that the club won't hesitate to pull the trigger on Clement if things go south. Whatever compensations in his contract won't stop them. The expectation at Rangers is simple. You either challenge for titles or you're gone. And so far, Clement's side doesn't exactly look built to mount a serious title challenge. So here's the big debate for you. If Clement goes, who do we turn to next? Do we gamble on someone with big ideas but little experience in Scotland, or do we bring in a battle-hardened manager who knows the ins and outs of the league? And here's the even bigger question. If Aberdeen turn us over tomorrow, would you give Clement another chance to fix it? Or would it be time to pull the plug and find someone who can rescue this season? It's clear things are reaching boiling point with Clement and the squad, isn't it? Picking up the 3 points against St Mirren barely papered over the cracks. And with Aberdeen and a League Cup semi against Motherwell coming up, the pressure's only going to crank up from here. Now Michael Stewart's out here banging the drum for Dujon Sterling, saying he needs to be starting. And to be fair, the lad's been underused. Just 2 starts all season and the odd cameo. Stewart reckons Sterling could add that bit of athleticism and balance we've been missing, especially in the middle of the park. And yet Clement's playing Kassan Wirjo ahead of him, both at right back and even out of position at centre back. What's the deal with that? But here's where it gets messy. Alan Hutton's raised a proper eyebrow, calling out a potential red flag with Sterling. Apparently, Clement left him out against Malmo because of fitness concerns. Now that begs the question, is Sterling not pulling his weight in training? Or was he carrying a knock? Either way, it's not a great look when you're struggling for game time. And then there's the Tavernier situation. Stewart's made it crystal clear he'd be flabbergasted if Tav isn't starting against Aberdeen. Sure, he was rested against St Mirren, but there's no way the captain sits out a game this big, right? Especially not with everything riding on it. You can feel the tension around this decision. Drop Tav again and you risk upsetting the balance of the team and the dressing room. But if Clement's banking on rotating things to keep players fresh, it could blow up in his face. So, here's a question for you. If Clement sticks with Kassan Wirjo, or even throws Sterling into the starting Eden and it doesn't work out, would that be the final straw for Clement? Or would you take the risk, back the younger players, and leave Tav on the bench for a game this important? It looks like we might have dropped the ball with Leon King, eh? Once tipped to be a Rolls Royce at the back, and our answer to Virgil van Dijk, now he's languishing in the B team, collecting splinters instead of minutes. It's a classic Rangers conundrum. So much potential, but somewhere along the line, something's gone wrong, and it feels like we've let a gem slip through our fingers. Back in 2020, it all seemed so promising. King was just 16 when Gerrard gave him his senior debut, and even seasoned pros like Alan Hutton were waxing lyrical about him. Described as elegant and composed on the ball, King looked every bit like the kind of young talent who could slot into our defense for years to come, or better yet, fetch a tidy sum in the transfer market. The comparisons to Van Dijk aren't just wishful thinking. King had genuine interest from clubs like Manchester United and Newcastle. You don't get that kind of attention without being something special. Fast forward to 2022, and it was all still looking good. Gio van Bronckhorst gave him regular runouts, and with injury issues thinning our defense, King even got experience in the Champions League. Sure, he was up against giants like Liverpool and Napoli, but those games should have been the making of him. Tough lessons, but lessons that would set him up for a bright future. Then Beale took over and the wheels started to come off. King's appearances plummeted from 19 under Gio to just 4 under Beale, and by the time Clement arrived, the writing was on the wall. 6 appearances last season, and now not even a sniff at first-team action this campaign. For a 20-year-old with his talent, that's criminal. How do you expect a young player to improve if you leave him to rot in the B team? And here we are, staring down the possibility that King could be out the door soon. A player we once thought could be our version of Van Dijk might leave with barely a whimper. It's not just sad, it's poor management, plain and simple. Look across the city and you'll see how Celtic have been pulling off transfers like these for years. Van Dijk bought cheap, sold high, and that cash reinvested. That's the kind of business we need to be doing if we want to keep up. Instead, it feels like we've let King slip through our hands without ever giving him a real shot. So here's the real kicker. Do you think Clement should bite the bullet and bring King back into the first team, especially with the heat he's under, or is it already too late? And have we missed the chance to develop him into a top talent, or at the very least, a valuable sale? Comment below what you think about the news. Don't forget to leave a like on the video to help me out. I post videos every day talking about our Rangers, so if you're not subscribed, you're missing out on the latest news. See you soon.